This is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica. And on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about Thelma.
Thelma Todd.
Thank you. She told me 2 seconds ago, and I forgot to listen. I listened, but I just didn't retain.
Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha.
Um, and I am going to be talking about Samuel Little,
Oh, never heard of him.
which is surprising.
Yeah, because you told me what it is, and that is surprising that I've never heard of him. But...
Yeah, so we'll get into it, but it's shocking that not a lot. I know I had never heard of it. My mom recommended this story to me a couple years ago. And I'm just getting into it now. Sorry, mom. Um, but it actually really worked out the way that I left it for so long. So, because we get some kind of closure.
Okay, cool. Speaking of which, there's a couple of the stories that I've done that are kind of coming back up in the news. Do you remember? I can't remember what episode it was, but I covered that mom who her daughter and her son went missing and she moved in with that guy and they believed they were like the second coming of Christ or something like that, and they found the kids buried in the backyard. Do you remember that
Oh,
story?
I
Vallow.
think I think so, yeah.
She's her trials just started.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see how that plays out. And then if you remember in the Murdoch case I did, the boy that died on the road that they said was a hit and run, um, they're opening his case back up
Oh,
with more
good.
connection to Buster Murdoch.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one goes as well. Um, his mom is obviously very happy that they're opening Stephen Smith's case back up, and hopefully, she'll get some kind of closure because it was not a hit and run. So hopefully, she'll get some kind of closure from that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But
Fingers crossed.
yeah, yeah. So, also a little announcement. We may or may not have an episode, May, this is kind of early, May 7th, depending, I'm getting my wisdom teeth removed May 1st.
I told her she's crazy because it took me like 6 weeks to recover and I only had my bottoms taken out. So
I'm 36 years old and I'm just getting my wisdom teeth out. Well,
that's
apparently
okay.
one has a cavity, so he's like, "You better get that out." And then like two of them are impacted, so he's like, "You might as well just get them all out." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Fine."
might as well. Honestly, like my biggest issue, like mine all came up straight, so they
Mhm.
were fully erupted. Um, but I can't get back to the very back with my toothbrush.
Yeah,
And so I have like I had cavities.
yeah, that's what I said with me too. So I'm gonna go get those removed. I'm getting put under.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, that's what my whatever they're called, ortho. Is it not an orth? What's a
Orthodontist?
no? The surgery person for the mouth.
The oral surgeon?
Yeah, yeah, the oral surgeon. I kept wanting to say orthodontics, and I was like, that's bones. Um, yeah, the oral surgeon
Um,
suggested.
orthodontics is for braces.
What did I say?
You said for bones.
Because I
That's
was
an
thinking of
orthopedic.
orthopedics.
Yeah.
It's too many orth. Guys, it is 8:34 at night. I'm very tired. It's
I also
been a
work
rough
in a
day.
dental office, so
Yeah,
and
been a day.
ironically, we just had surgery day today.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So she recommended putting me under because she said it's just easier all around for everybody. You don't have to worry about feeling of the pressure or the cracking or anything like that. And um, I'm assuming it's probably easier for her too because she doesn't have to worry about an awake patient. So
Yes. Yeah. And I got mine taken out just with the local anesthetic.
yeah,
And mine were really difficult because my roots were curved.
I have one curved root. I don't know what
Yeah.
that means.
My roots were curved and because they were the bottoms, they were really close to my facial nerve,
Yeah.
and they weren't sure if my like the bottom of my tooth was touching the nerve or not.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he was so nervous that he was gonna rip the nerve out along with the tooth, but
Uh,
everything stayed intact.
well, that's good. We'd like you
But
to not have a
there's
paralyzed face.
yeah, but there's a lot of cracking and it was
Ugh.
just an awful noise.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna get put under. I've never been put under before. I've never had like any type of surgery where I needed to go under. So this will be my first time. And my mom gets super, super sick coming out of anesthesia.
Oh,
And I'm a little worried that because I've never done it before. So I'm like, oh God, I hope that doesn't happen to me because if I throw up after having my wisdom teeth removed, that increases your rate of dry sockets. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
dry socket's the worst.
I'm very nervous. Popped out two kids, but real nervous to get my wisdom teeth out.
You'll be fine.
Oh gosh. So depending on if I can talk or not at that time is if we will have an episode or not.
It's a very long way around that.
Yes, yes, it is. So, anyway, let's get into today's episode.
I have a funny story for later.
Okay,
Please remind me.
okay. So I was kind of looking for something to do, and I googled Hollywood's greatest mysteries, and
Ooh.
the death of Thelma Todd came up. So I decided to do this case. Um, it's kind of unsolved,
Oh,
kind of. So
was it the ex? Was it the lover?
possibly.
Okay.
All right, let's just get into it. So, I got my sources from the New England Historical Society, Los Angeles Times, and the Crime Wire.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So, Thelma Todd was old Hollywood. I'm talking like 1930s, black and white photos with the dark lips and glamorous outfits, Hollywood. She was at the peak of her career in the 30s and just embodied that 1930s old Hollywood main actress.
Yeah. And honestly, with that kind of name too, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Thelma Todd. She's
yeah.
gorgeous too. If you look her up, she's really pretty. But at the age of 29, the glamour stopped and poor Thelma Todd was found dead in her garage. Well, not her garage, in a garage. Kind of her garage. Um, at first, it looked like an attempt to die by suicide, but after further investigation, it seemed that maybe something else was at play.
Oh,
So they also thought that it seemed more like an accident if it was like her doing, but we'll get into that. So Thelma Todd was born in 1906 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Throughout her time in school, she was described as a bright and determined young woman. After she graduated from high school, she went to Lowell State Normal School, which was a school for teachers at the time. And she
mm,
completed her student teaching, but realized that it just really wasn't for her. She dreamed of fame and fortune and kind of went about it in a weird way. She decided to join pageants and enter acting contests, which I guess was a thing. She ended up winning Miss Massachusetts in 1925, where there were some talent scouts who recommended her for the Paramount School for Junior Stars, which was run by Paramount.
sorry. What kind of scouts?
Talent scouts? What?
Talent?
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 Oh no, it's my Michigan accent.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, it comes out thick and with like A's and like Valentine, talent, calendar. I'm surprised you don't have it. You're Canadian.
I say talent.
Her
Anyways,
talent.
that's still bad. That's like now you're British.
How do
her
you say
her
it?
her talent scout.
Talent
Um,
scout.
talent.
Talent.
That's
Talent.
better.
Her talent coach.
Oh
Oh,
God,
now I'm
this is a
struggling with coach.
disaster.
Anyway, so her instructors really liked her acting, and they told her as such, and they also told her to watch her weight. Blech.
Blech.
But and she was thin. I mean, but this, this was old Hollywood where they were like, well, even like Marilyn Monroe was a little bit, I don't know, but she was thin, and they told her to watch her weight, and it's disgusting. Anyway, her hard work paid off, and she was cast to star in a few short comedies. And after this, her career took off. She became really successful as a comedic actress, but she still kind of wanted more. She wanted to try some dramas. I think she wanted to be more of like a serious actress. And uh just so happened that at the same time she started dating Roland West, who was a director. He was also married, but apparently his wife didn't care that he was having an affair with Thelma Todd. At least that's what the source said, but I'm sure she cared a little bit. And they decided to do a movie called Course Air, which was the first dramatic role for Thelma. And it was so different from anything that she had done before that she actually used a different name. She used Allison Lloyd.
Oh, I think Thelma Todd is so beautiful though.
Yeah. So, well, she still was using Thelma Todd for her comedy acting and then was using Allison Lloyd for her dramatic acting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she had like two kind of personalities going on here, and she did really well in both avenues. So she was doing comedies with the Marx Brothers and Bing Crosby, and was with some really famous dramatic actors as well. They listed some. I had never heard of any of them, so I didn't write them down. But apparently they were famous at the time.
Nice. Good reporting.
Thanks. So, getting used to Hollywood at first was a little difficult for Thelma. And she said, at first, when I was making a picture and men hailed me as a sweetheart or honey, or came up and put an arm around me when they wanted to tell me something, I was insulted. We don't take familiarities from men in New England, she said. But she soon learned not to take offense. They were just being friendly, she said. Now I appreciate that fact.
No, honey.
And I'm sure she was just saying that to come off as like the nice, sweet actress, but I'm sure it still bothers her. If that bothers you, that bothers you. You know what I mean?
What if you were famous and you were famous for like being another person, right? Because obviously you're an actress.
Mm-hmm.
What would your persona be, do you think? Like,
I think I'd be like the sweet one
yeah,
because I'm so sweet already.
it's true. You don't know how to say no to people.
That's true. I'm kind of a doormat. I'm a bit of a doormat, but And shockingly, Jessica, I'm way better than I used to be.
You are, because I've also called you out on your shit sometimes.
What would your persona be?
I it's hard to say because like I'm really good at putting on my customer service face.
Yeah. And that's kind of what
Um,
acting is, right? Like you have to have a brand. Like you have to be a brand.
yeah, but I also think that like I am kind to people, and like I especially people that are in the customer service or retail, because I've been there. I know how it
Mm-hmm.
is. So
Yeah.
I always make sure that I am like saying please and thank you 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Um, but also I think that like if somebody was doing some bullshit, like the paparazzi was being annoying, I would tell them off.
You'd be like, do you know who Shannon Elizabeth, not Shannon, Shannon Doherty? She's in Charmed. Oh. Well, she's
Never
kind of known
seen.
for being kind of bitchy.
Oh, I wouldn't be like bitchy towards the good
No,
people.
no, for sure. But as a celebrity, you do one thing and that's
Yeah.
like what you're named for the rest of your life.
Yeah. But
Anyway, so She was at the height of her career and her love life was just as active. She eloped with a movie producer named Pasquale DeSico in 1932, but their marriage only lasted for about 2 years. And a lot of people said they had, quote, loud alcohol fueled fights, which is never good.
Which is like normal for back then.
True. True. Um, before the divorce rumors were swirling, though, before the divorce, comma, rumors were swirling that their marriage was heading that way. And when asked by the press, Thelma said, I'm afraid it would be silly to make a divorce announcement now. With so many being discussed in Hollywood, I wouldn't have a chance to get any sort of publicity from it. So she's a little cheeky. I like Thelma.
Yeah, good for her. See, that's what I would want to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that same year, she also opened a restaurant in the Pacific Palisades called Thelma Todd's Sidewalk Cafe with her
Oh,
ex, Roland West. Roland was that director that was also married. So she opened a restaurant with him. But the following year, on December 16th, 1935, Thelma was found dead in her car in a garage. And this
what?
garage was owned by Roland West. But she also lived in that building. So they
Oh,
they owned a
you
restaurant.
really led on the wrong, like,
They owned a restaurant together. They lived next door to each other, but like their relationship was always kind of like up at, like, I think people suspected that they were still together, but like they never really confirmed it. And through this whole time he had still remained married to his wife. So
yeah.
I don't know. But people did describe Roland as very possessive, and said that they would often fight. So apparently Sunday night, Thelma went out, and Roland asked her to be back before 2. Or I'm sorry, Saturday night. Thelma went out and Roland asked her to be back before 2 because he was going to lock up. Like apparently their restaurant was like um the downstairs and they lived in the upstairs and there's like a couple apartments, I guess. And
Okay.
so he was going to lock up and so she wouldn't be able to get up because I think they were just the two that lived there. And she didn't show up by 2, so he locked up and went upstairs. And it wasn't until Monday that Thelma was found.
Holy
So
crap.
yeah, the coroner ruled her death by carbon monoxide poisoning. She was found in the garage with, this is where it gets kind of weird. So one source said that the car wasn't running when Thelma was found, but that there was still fuel in the tank. So, like, it didn't run out of gas. Another source said that the ignition key of her vehicle was turned on, but it was off, and the garage was filled with gas, which means that the engine cut off because of the lack of oxygen.
Oh,
Another source said that it was still running and out of gas. So there's like
what?
several different versions of what happened. And even one of the sources I found kind of said that like there are several different versions of what people say how the car was found.
But why?
Well, I don't, it was back in the 30s, so I don't know if it's just like bad detective work, bad like um recording, or if there was a reason for it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's just that's so odd though that you can have so many differing
Yeah.
because that seems like such a an absolute thing, you
Yeah.
know?
It was either on or off, gas or no
Yeah,
gas.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I found all different kinds. So, but the coroner suggested that Thelma got home around 2:33, climbed the 270 steps to the garage at the top of the hill over the restaurant with the intention of sleeping in her car. And he thinks that probably she was cold, so she started the heat and then was overcome by the carbon monoxide fumes. That was what the coroner said.
Uh,
And it would fit with one of the ways the car was found. If the car was found in any of the other ways that people have said, that doesn't really fit, right?
yeah.
Another weird thing was that a witness said that Thelma could not have died Saturday night slash Sunday morning because she had spoken to a friend on the phone Sunday day.
Oh.
And Jewel Kamen, who is Roland's wife, said that she saw Thelma Todd in her car with some man on Sunday. And friends said that Thelma had mentioned that she had started to see a man from San Francisco. So it could have been that man. They were never able to find
Scandal.
him. Yeah. They were never able to find him, though. So her autopsy did say that her blood contained lethal levels of carbon monoxide and that she may have been drunk at the time of her death. But, and here's the kicker for me, Jessica, it also found damage to her throat, which could have been caused by someone forcing a hose or other similar type objects into her mouth.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a creepy story involving this guy named Luciano. So her husband, her ex-husband, had a partnership of some sort, business or friendship, I'm unsure, with Lucky Luciano, who was a New York City mobster.
Okay.
And there were rumors that after they had divorced, Thelma and Lucky kind of had a thing on and off. These are just rumors, never confirmed. But at one time before she had died, um, Thelma said that she had sworn off drinking at one point to like help control her weight. And Luciano had forced a champagne bottle into her mouth to get drunk.
Oh, the poor girl.
Yeah. So that being said, um, could Luciano have done something? And here's where the motive might be.
Okay.
So Roland West, her restaurant partner and on and off lover for many, many years, um, was in the restaurant with her, but the restaurant wasn't doing well. So it was a super, super popular restaurant because Thelma was famous and she had a lot of celebrity friends that ate there, but it
Yeah.
wasn't making money. And one of the reasons they think is because there was some pressure from the New York City mob by Luciano to buy mob controlled suppliers, which charged them way more than other ones would be charged.
Great.
So, one of the kind of theories was that, well, were they kind of pushing back on buying from those mob suppliers? And so Luciano did something about it. Was Roland mad that Thelma had brought Luciano into their lives and was like, maybe she was sticking up for him or saying, like, we need to buy from his suppliers? And Roland thought, well, if I get rid of her, then my connection to Luciano's gone as well.
Hmm.
The other thought was maybe that it was her ex-husband. Um, there's some loose things like apparently they went to a party and um her ex had told the party host to be like, oh, you should put me next to or at the same table as Thelma because like I guess Thelma was being really cold towards him, and the party host didn't realize he was kidding and put him at the same table as Thelma. And when he showed up with a date,
Uh,
he sat at a different table and Thelma was pissed. Um, and so she had been really like hostile toward him. So, they're like, well, maybe they were fighting and I don't know, but I don't really think that's a great motive. Um,
no.
so, it could be a plethora of things. Maybe, something happened earlier in the night to her throat and she did accidentally die. You know, they don't really know. And a grand jury couldn't reach a conclusion to move forward with any sort of trial. It was split between those who thought her death was suspicious and those who thought it was just an accident.
What do you think?
Well, where did it go? Okay, well, I don't have this in here, but apparently in 1950, I swear I wrote this down, but apparently I didn't. Apparently in 1952, on his deathbed, Roland West confessed to killing her to one of his friends.
What?
Yeah. And it never really said, that never really said if he confessed why he did it or how he did it or anything like that. But apparently he did confess to his friend, and then his friend told um some other people. I gotta look this back up since I didn't write it down. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's even like in IMDb. If you look him up, like his trivia is in 1952, he allegedly made a deathbed confession to his friend Chester Morris that he was the one who murdered Thelma Todd.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty widely thought that he did make this deathbed confession.
Why
So
do you think he would have done it?
the only thing I can think of is that, you know, perhaps yeah, it says implicated in Todd's death, but West was in ill health by that time and the confession was never independently confirmed. But I don't know. I think either two things happened. I think either one, he feels guilty for her death and said, like, it's my fault. And that was the deathbed confession. Or he did it because of this mob connection, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking the mob connection was probably the best bet.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the only solid motive.
Yeah.
Or it was just an accident. And, maybe because he locked up and she couldn't get in. And so she went to sit in the garage and started the car for heat. Maybe he feels like it's his fault. And so he said, it's my fault that she died. And maybe that's what it was. I could see
Yeah.
either one of those two.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just well, and when you were kind of going through those different reasons as to what the coroner might have thought happened,
Mm-hmm.
um my thought was that she, like you had said, started the car to warm up and
Mm-hmm.
then just fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Not the carbon monoxide hit her first, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think she was just like really tired,
It's
super
early in
warm.
the morning. Yeah, warm.
Yeah.
She'd been partying.
Yeah. So,
Another thing that I did see though, that was interesting was that apparently it had been really windy that night. And when they found her, her hair was like perfect, whereas it should have been a little disheveled from the wind if she had walked up all those stairs to get to the
yeah.
garage.
Yeah.
So that's just another little thing to throw in there of oddness.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's so crazy.
Yeah. So that is the story of the death of Thelma Todd, which, if to the listeners, you got to look her up. She's just such that old Hollywood glam.
Show us. Show us. Show
Oh,
us.
okay, I'll show you Thelma Todd.
Sorry if I wasn't like super responsive. I was just like listening.
Yeah, no, no,
It's
no.
such a fascinating story.
There she is. Just that old Hollywood glam,
Oh, she's beautiful.
isn't she?
I expected her. I think I know her.
Do you?
I feel like I've probably seen her in something because my dad watches old Hollywood movies all the time.
Okay. I mean, she was in a lot.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
I do remember her, and she is really funny.
She was called the Ice Cream Blonde and Hot Toddy were her nicknames.
Oh,
I love Hot Toddy. That's so
for
cute.
for some reason, I thought she would have been brunette.
Oh, nope, she was blonde, blah blah blah. And let me show you Roland West. He wasn't a bad looking guy. Maybe not. I take it back. There was one picture I saw of him that he was pretty cute in, and then the rest of them are not great. He's not bad. I mean, he's definitely old Hollywood looking, I think.
Oh, he's like real old Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, that second one.
This one?
Yeah, that's a nice
Yeah,
one.
I saw this one of him too that I thought he was kind of handsome in.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
yep. So that's my story.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I loved that. Well, like yeah.
I gotcha.
Okay. I I am not a creeper. All right, well, thank you so much. And you know what's really funny is because I was thinking about doing Marilyn Monroe's death this week.
Oh, that would have we had an old Hollywood theme.
Yeah. Because there's some new stuff that came up in her death and it's so fascinating.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You should do her because I don't know a lot about her like death. Like I know there's a ton of like conspiracy theories and stuff like that, but I don't really know much at all.
Yeah, I might do a Norma Jean episode.
Yeah.
All right, so as like awful as that story ended, it was a very light story,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm so sorry.
Well, do we oh, never mind. She walked away. I say we could start by showing my doggy, but never mind, she left me.
You poor thing. Well, I'm gonna try getting through this without having a massive coughing fit
Oh no.
because I'm sick again. It was really funny because 2 weeks ago my husband got sick first, and then a week passed and neither Evie and I got sick. So I looked at my husband. I'm like, I'm really surprised that we didn't get sick.
Yeah.
And then the
And
very next
then
day, Evie woke up sick. And then now this week it's my turn.
oh no. I thought Cody was getting sick. He was really tired this past weekend, but he held off. So
Oh, that's good. Because
yeah.
he's like on a work trip, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, I apologize for the story. I got my sources from New York Times, the FBI website,
Mm.
and all that's interesting.
Of course. Of course.
Of course, of course. Despite the fact that so few people know this story, let alone his name, Samuel Little is the most prolific American serial killer of all time.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. The 79-year-old inmate, who is already serving 3 life terms, reportedly confessed to killing 93 individuals between 1970 and 2005 in more than a dozen states.
Oh my God. 93?
Yeah,
Wow. Is that real or is it like he's exaggerating?
we'll get into it.
Okay.
As the FBI and Texas Rangers confirmed 50 of those kills, Little officially surpassed more well known serial killers like Bundy and Gacy to become the deadliest known serial killer in U.S. history,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild considering.
Yeah.
Even more unsettling, officials were able to authenticate the crimes thanks to some drawings. Shut up.
I just like how when you mess up, you're like,
Even more unsettling, officials were able to authenticate the crimes due to drawings that he made of the victims by memory.
oh,
He remembered almost every single face that he killed.
oh, great.
While there are still dozens of unresolved Jane Does, these drawings have helped to reopen and subsequently close dozens of cold cases. When the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program approached Samuel Little, who was serving life in prison for 3 homicide convictions, he was expecting to switch prisons. Little appeared to have information on a murder in Odessa, Texas, which piqued the interest of Texas Ranger James Holland and 2 FBI crime analysts.
Hmm.
They then approached Little and made an offer. Give us information and we'll transfer you to a new prison. Little proved to be more than willing to speak.
I'm assuming then he wanted to go to a new prison.
Yeah, yeah. So he's like, okay,
Sounds great.
what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
They then approached Little. Oh, shit. Over the course of that interview in May, he went through each city and state and gave Ranger Holland the number of people he killed in each place. Jackson, Mississippi, 1 person. Cincinnati, Ohio, 1. Phoenix, Arizona, 3.
Okay.
Las Vegas, Nevada, 1. Like, he knew how many in each state.
Yeah.
Little assisted authorities for months, according to Ector County District Attorney Bobby Bland, and eventually admitted to killing around 90 people between 1970 and 2005, ranging from the Californian beaches to the deserts of New Mexico and the Midwest down to Florida's tip and back up to Washington, D.C.
Do you think it's creepier or less creepy that he remembered every single person with like that much detail?
I think it's really creepy.
Yeah, I think it makes it creepier, right?
Yeah, especially because like so many years have passed, you know?
Yeah.
Um Also, for us Canadians, is that trek like a big trek? Like his span?
What, say it again?
So from California to New Mexico
That's not too far.
and the Midwest down to Florida's southern tip
Oh,
and
okay.
back up to Washington.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much the whole country.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's for the Canadians out there. Let's pull up a map. United States of America. Oh God, what am I gonna find? Okay, let me share my screen. Sharing of the screen. Sorry for those of you that don't watch us. This is probably really boring. But so
Go
here's
watch us.
come watch us. Here's California, New Mexico. This is considered the Midwest.
Oh my
Florida's all the
God.
way down here, and
Yeah.
then back up to Washington.
Yeah, so I wish I could draw on that for you. Um I have a crime map of his and yeah, it's like all over in the east, up and down, like close to Toronto. So
Okay.
that border. And then it goes all the way west. For some reason, he skipped a state in the middle,
Okay.
between
Lucky them.
what are those places? Between New Mexico and Texas. He like just like skipped the state in between. What state is in between?
Arizona.
Oh, yeah, he skipped Arizona.
Well, didn't you say he's murdered in Phoenix? He had three in Phoenix.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this map is accurate. The FBI did it.
FBI, damn
The FBI did it. Don't blame me. So yeah, that's a long stretch.
yeah. Yeah, that's basically the whole country. That's so crazy.
That's insane. While 50 of these confessions have thus far been corroborated, providing some closure to the families of those victims, many of his confessions are still undergoing verification. Even if no more confessions are ever substantiated, Little is now the deadliest known killer in American history, even with just his 50 kills.
Just.
So you know what I mean?
No, I mean like
Yeah,
yeah, like it's
like
like
holy crap.
yeah, it's you can say just his 50 because he did so many more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with his cooperation, there may only be more confirmations of his murders on the horizon because there's been a lot of cooperation for law enforcement across the country as Texas Rangers are in the process of verifying these murders, which is amazing.
I'm sorry,
According
I didn't
to,
mean to interrupt you. My dog just scared the shit out of me. She's a Rottweiler, so she's tall.
yeah,
So she just and she's like, I got my headphones on, so I can't really hear her. And she just walked up next to me and like brushed her whiskers across my arm. And I didn't realize she was there. And I thought there was like a gajillion spiders crawling on my arm. I
oh my
was like, oh
gosh.
shit. It was just my dog. Sorry.
Kyle,
Continue.
Kyle, I don't know why I keep saying my husband, but Kyle, um, he, I was sleeping the other day and he went to go kiss me goodbye. And I woke up just as his face was leaning in
Oh
and I
god.
screamed.
I bet.
It's terrifying.
Oh gosh.
So, um, so according to Palazzolo, Little remembered everything about his crimes, including the vehicle he was driving, where he was, and who he picked up.
Oh my gosh. With a
It
memory
is,
like that, he could have done so like so many
he could
good
have been,
things.
yeah. And that's the thing, his memory is insane.
Yeah.
I'll read a couple of his confessions from the FBI's website.
Okay.
It's insane.
Ugh.
Um, his recollection of events appears to be so reliable that the sketches he produced of his victims are now being used as evidence by police attempting to solve decades-old unsolved killings. He may not remember specific dates for everybody, but he can remember the faces of the women he killed, which can then be identified by their friends or relatives. Little is presently, well, not presently anymore, but he was serving 3 consecutive life sentences because the majority of his offenses remained undiscovered or unknown at the time of his arrest. A pittance compared to the staggering term he'd face if his whole crimes were successfully presented in court.
Oh wow.
But the specifics of his killings are now being revealed in unprecedented detail. Samuel Little was born in Georgia in 1940, and he quickly moved with his family to Ohio, where he grew up pretty impoverished and got into a lot of trouble at school, which sound familiar for a lot of the,
Yeah, a lot of the serial killers type things.
yeah. He soon advanced to petty crime and was imprisoned for breaking and entering in Nebraska in 1956. On the other hand, his offenses only became more serious as he traveled across like a dozen US states, racking up arrests for everything from stealing and fraud to assault and rape.
Wow. That's what I never understand about like if you're out there getting away with, I guess if you're getting away with it, you think you can get away with anything. But like if you're out there getting away with murder, why are you going to chance it by stealing things?
Right? Yeah, I know. I mean, they like, not thankfully, but this guy started off with stealing and then moved to murder.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He later claimed to have been a serial killer from the early 1970s, yet his first arrest for murder occurred in 1982 in Mississippi. There is still insufficient evidence for them to convict him, though.
Mm,
Meanwhile, he was arrested for another murder in Florida, but was quickly acquitted. He then relocated to California, where things started to take a turn for the worst. Little's victims were mostly women in weak positions in society, so
mm,
either prostitutes or drug users, too crippled to know how bad things had gotten or whose addictions could readily be blamed for their deaths.
yeah.
Little, a former competitive boxer, would usually dispose of his victims' bodies in alleys, dumpsters, or garages after knocking them out, beating, and strangling them. The length of time it took for Little to be captured was perhaps the most disturbing aspect of his murder spree. Little began beating and strangling women to death during Richard Nixon's first year in office,
Oh,
while Barack Obama was beginning his second term when he was eventually apprehended.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like that's a really good way to put that span of years into like perspective.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like how wild.
Yeah.
The intriguing and also awful fact is that he was let he was lead suspect in most cases. He led a suspect.
That
But
is creepy that he was like in all those cases, well, a lot of those cases lead suspect, but never actually like caught.
yeah, because there were no outward wounds. So these deaths were thought to be accidental deaths due to drug overdoses or natural causes.
Wow.
His streak didn't end until September of 2012.
Oh my god. That's
A-
insane.
An officer became aware of a narcotics related warrant for Little's arrest, which led him to Little in Kentucky, where he was in a homeless shelter. Upon his subsequent deportation to Los Angeles, DNA samples were taken and eventually matched to victims in three unsolved killings from 1987 to 1989. So DNA for the win.
Good.
Despite witness homo, oh,
What was
despite
that?
I was gonna the sentence is despite witness testimony, but I read the word underneath, which is homicide. So
Despite witness, hama hama hama.
so despite witness testimony from other women who narrowly escaped his grasp, he pled not he pled not guilty to all three homicide charges. As a result, he was convicted in 2014 and sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm like mad struggle bus today on the words. Thankfully, the LAPD chose to share Little's DNA samples with the FBI, who ran a trace on them using the VICAP tool. Little's DNA was linked to the murder of Denise Christie Brothers in Odessa, Texas, who was found strangled in an empty parking lot a few blocks from a motel in January 1994. This match resulted in the FBI and Texas Rangers working together, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Bland claimed Samuel Little gave them such precise information that only Brothers' true killer would have known. And
Oh,
he was later indicted by a grand jury on July 16th, 2018. Yes, 2018.
2018. Wow.
He was subsequently transferred to Texas to face the new accusations, to which he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. Little was again linked to another murder, this time of 23-year-old Linda Sue Boards, who was found in a field on May 15th, 1981, and last seen alive 4 days earlier on her way to a bar in Bowling Green.
Oh, poor thing.
Little was later indicted for this felony by a Warren County grand jury in Kentucky.
Good.
Yes. He was also linked to the death of Martha Cunningham, who was a Knoxville woman who was previously deemed to have died naturally.
Mm.
Cunningham's death had been a mystery to her family for nearly 44 years,
Oh,
ever since she was discovered beaten and discarded in the woods by two hunters on January 18th, 1975. I never believed my sister died of natural causes. None of us did, said her sister.
poor
But now we
things.
know, thank the Lord.
Oh,
I can't even imagine being able to get that kind of closure.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's
And just
amazing.
not knowing all those years. Ugh,
Yeah.
poor things.
As more testimonies from Samuel Little came in, his official body count continued to grow. In October 2019, the FBI confirmed that he is the deadliest known serial killer in American history for the third time now. Little's body count has surpassed that of far more famous killers whose names have been carved into the American memory, with 50 deaths to his name and some 40 other cases still pending. And those cases still might be solved because of how much detail he gave them.
That's that's just terrifying that someone is just going cross country and just like killing
Yeah,
people as he goes.
that's the scariest part, right? Because it's
Yeah.
not situated to one specific area. Like
Yeah.
nobody was safe.
Yeah. It's not like, okay, well, I don't live there, so I'm safe, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's insane. For many years, Samuel Little believed he would not be caught because he thought no one was accounting for his victims. Even though he is already in prison, the FBI believes it is important to seek justice for each victim to close every case possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, the FBI has made available the footage of Little's terrible confessions. It's on their website, as well as drawings of his victims in the hopes that anyone with information on these women may come forward. The FBI hopes that Samuel Little will help provide closure to the families he destroyed decades ago with his horrible, horrible actions.
Yeah.
And he died in the LA area hospital on December 30th, 2020, day before my child was born, at the age of 80. It was said that he had multiple health concerns, such as a bad heart, diabetes, and other issues.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know. It was interesting because I came to the realization that it's ironic that he died the way that he made his victims look as though they had died,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of
Yeah.
them were attributed to natural causes and
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Wow.
So it's ironic that that's how he went out because it
Yeah.
wasn't like homicide or anything in the
Yeah.
jail. Like it was just, yeah.
That's
So,
crazy.
so that's the story. But I did have two confessions of his that I wanted to go
Ooh.
over quickly
Okay.
with you. And then afterwards, I want to screen share and go through, like, show the different, like, all their faces,
Okay.
just to kind of
Yeah, absolutely.
focus on those women. So, this one was from Covington, Kentucky, 1984. Little stated that in approximately 1984, possibly in the summertime, he was driving his Lincoln Continental Mark III from Lorain, Ohio to Cincinnati. While en route, he met a 25-year-old white female outside a strip club. He remembers her as being 5'6" to 5'7" and 130 to 170 pounds. Little describes her as having short blonde hair and blue eyes with a hippie appearance. She approached him and asked for a ride to Miami, Florida, saying her mother lived there. Little said he and the woman drove on Interstate 75. When they reached Cincinnati, the two of them spent time downtown on Vine Street. They continued driving together across the river into northern Kentucky. Little described driving to a hilly area not far from I-75. He drove up a small dirt road to the top of a little round hill where he strangled the woman in the backseat of his car. He left her body on the top of the hill.
Mm.
And now that I'm like really focusing on this today, I find it really odd because a lot of the times people will say that the more details you give kind of means that you're lying.
Yeah.
But he's also helped solve a bunch of cases.
Yeah, his details are correct details, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah.
But it's like he could have, yes, obviously did those 50 ones, but what if the other ones aren't solved yet because he did give false information, you know?
Yeah.
But just awful that he has those details.
Yeah. Yeah.
This last one, there's like tons of them on the FBI website. I just wanted to pick two
Yeah.
because we'd be here all night and we don't want that.
Yeah.
So this one was from New Orleans, Louisiana in 1982. Little stated that in approximately 1982, possibly in the autumn, he met a black female in New Orleans. This is what it says on the FBI website. Okay.
Okay.
He described the woman as approximately 30 to 40 years old, 5'8" to 5'9", weighing 160 pounds, with honey-colored brown skin and medium-length straight hair. He remembers that she was wearing a pretty dress with buttons on the front. Little said if they met in a club where she was attending a birthday party with a group of friends and one of her two sisters. Little left with the woman in his vehicle, a Lincoln Continental Mark III. The woman told Little that she lived with her mother, who was sick and possibly an invalid.
Mm.
The woman also gave Little the keys to her house. Little drove the woman to the Little Woods exit off I-10, where he turned down a dirt road along a canal that was being dredged. They exited his car, and then Little pulled the woman towards the canal where he killed her and left the body.
Oh,
Afterwards, Little drove back to the motel where he was staying in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
awful.
And that was that story.
Awful.
If you have any information linked to Little's confessions, please contact the FBI or you can submit a tip online. And yeah, it's just awful.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand. It's just awful.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share my screen real quick here.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Let me share, bitch. No, you have to enable me.
Oh, I thought you were talking to the computer.
No,
Wait, hold on. No, stop. I don't want to share. Poo.
I want to share. I got it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Ooh, can we see this?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the map for all of those that are watching. This is the map of his crime spree. See, that's the weird thing because it like skips this
Oh, New
area, but
Mexico. Okay, I
he was
was.
in New Mexico. So that's why it's
Yeah.
like super weird.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, and then these are the drawings.
Those are his drawings.
These are the drawings that he did by memory.
Oh God.
And it's just crazy. And you see his MO
Yeah.
with the profiling. And the weird part is that most of them are frowning.
Yeah.
Most of them are frowning, which is how they probably like looked at him.
That's probably how he remembers them. Yeah.
Isn't
Oh,
that
that's terrifying. These poor,
that
poor
looks like
women.
Chrissy Teigen?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. But like crazy the detail.
Yeah. Wow.
I just I don't I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ugh, I hate
It's
that.
just so if you know anything, help out because they're still working on it.
Ugh.
Oh, that was my story.
Thanks. It was awful.
Oh, you're welcome. I I told you to remind me about
Mm.
a funny story.
Yes.
I haven't gotten permission to share it yet.
Oh, okay.
I asked for permission. She's like, I'll ask my boyfriend. Because it's his story.
Okay. So
And
maybe
it is
next week then?
hopefully,
Okay.
yeah.
Fingers
Because
crossed.
it had me reeling all day, all day long. It was awful.
I want to hear it
Oh,
then. So hopefully he'll give permission. And if not, you can just tell me off recording.
oh, I will.
uh,
Totally. Do you have any jokes for me?
I'm looking up some now. Do you have any already ready to go?
Mm, maybe.
Okay, if you do, go. If not, I'll continue looking.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you call a month's worth of rain?
I don't know what.
England.
Oh, poor English.
What do you call dangerous precipitation?
Oh, what?
A reign of terror.
I like that one. I have one. What does corn say when it gets a compliment?
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
That's cute. I like that. Um, that's funny. What do you call 2 straight days of rain in Seattle?
Monday, Tuesday.
A weekend.
Oh.
It's funny. I had a dream about Seattle last night.
Oh yeah? I've never been.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to go.
same. Let's go.
Let's do it. It's pretty far away, but let's do it.
What ifs?
uh what do you call a sad strawberry?
A sad strawberry.
Yeah.
A blueberry.
Yeah. A
Oh,
blueberry.
that's fun. I like that.
Right. Well, if you want more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And if you would like to rate and review us, you can do so on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to bringing you two new stories next week.
Bye.